Okay, let's say it again. We said it in the first video, but let's say it again. Where is Dynamesh? Very important. It's in the tools menu, in the tool menu, down in geometry, because geometry is the second thing in the tool menu. You have this menu here, which is always open. We have subtool, which is always open, and you can regulate how much visible subtools you have. But yeah, let's leave that for now. And then you have the geometry. The geometry tab is pretty important. We have Dynamesh, we have dynamic subdiv, we have crease. Those things we will use the most, and also zero measure. But therefore later. For now, we only have to know that in order to Dynamesh to be active, to be working, it has to be active. It has to be orange. If it's not orange, it will not do anything. So we can do, for example, this and mask with control and drag whatever we want, and nothing will happen unless we press Dynamesh. And when we press Dynamesh, you see that the other horn is gone because it was here and it cut it. So Control Z, and when we press Dynamesh, it will Dynamesh it, and then we can move Dynamesh, and so on. Let's Control Z a few times. Now the horns, they are not in correct position, and now I will need to move them. So moving geometry is not very tricky these days in ZBrush. Back in the days it was tricky, very tricky, but now it's just a matter of pressing W or going to, yeah, we don't have it here. So yeah, in the normal menu it is move, scale, rotate, MSR, but they are W, E, R. I'm pressing W, I'm pressing E, I'm pressing R. They're very easy to reach keys. So in order to have this pivot on a screen, so we can move, rotate, and do whatever, we need to press either W, E, or R. I always press W because it's the most left key of all those keys. So when we press W, we will have this pivot here. When we press W again, we'll still have the pivot there. So the pivot will be there unless we press Q. So Q is near W, so it's pretty easy. W, the pivot is here. Q, the pivot is gone. And we can continue working on our model. So yeah, Control Z, is Control Z and Control Shift Z. Control Z, Control Shift Z. Undo and redo. So let me tell you how to move. First, when I'm moving something or rotating in ZBrush, I like to disable my perspective. So perspective is here, this button, and it's always here, or pressing P on the keyboard, but I rarely use it because P is too much on the right. It's not very easy to use with the left hand, so I press perspective here. And now press R or W, yeah. But since I want to rotate, and yeah, rotate is R, I sometimes press R, yeah, I admit it. But W is the same, because you get this pivot, and the pivot do everything. Before the pivot in ZBrush, there was another thing, which was the Gizmo 3D. No, this is the Gizmo 3D. Before that, it was this thing, and it was awful. So let's stick to Gizmo 3D. So the Gizmo is this. Yeah, I told you how to stick your views. What I mean is, I pressed Q, so Gizmo is gone. So we click, drag, and then press Shift, and then release everything. And then we are looking at left, from the left side. Now Shift, no, not Shift, but just drag to rotate, and then Shift. And we are looking exactly from the back. And when we don't have perspective, it's exactly back. Now Shift, Shift, Shift. So when we are closer to one of the viewpoints, we just press Shift. And yeah, so from the top, I want to rotate the horns a little bit backwards. So I press W, so I get my Gizmo 3D, and I start to rotate. But what if my Gizmo is here? If I rotate, it's not good. So we need to move the gizmo. To move the gizmo without moving the object, because now we're moving the object. When we get those angles here, whatever we get of those angles, we are moving the object. So in order to move the pivot only and to position it wherever we want it, so we can rotate around it, we have to press Alt. And you will notice this padlock here. When I press Alt and move, it's just unlocked. When I release Alt, it's locked. When I press Alt and start moving, it's unlocked. So now I'm moving only the pivot, then I release Alt, and you see Alt to unlock, it's written in the below the gizmo. And now I can rotate. Since I have symmetry, I'm rotating both of them. And now I have this, and this is a little bit closer to reality. Now I will just get my model a little bit back. I will just separate myself a bit from the object, from my model. By how do we pan? Zoom. It's clicking or just pressing, then pressing Alt. No, it's just pressing Alt, then clicking, moving, and then releasing Alt and continuing to drag. And yeah, so this is, yeah, I told you that. I told you even twice. This is counterintuitive a bit. It's not like in any other program, but it's working. And it's, yeah, you can get used to it. I promise you, you will get used to it. I will disable lazy mouse because I don't need it now. And I will disable the polyframe so I don't see my geometry. I don't want to see it now. I don't need to see it. And I can, if I want to, you know, with the standard brush to put a little bit geometry here, it will be best if I press solo. So it's not getting on my way. And the draw size is good, the intensity is nice. Sometimes ZBrush is losing. Let's try 7, which is okay. Sometimes the tablet is losing its properties, its sensitivity, and we have to alt and tab twice from ZBrush in order to get them back. But it's a rare occasion, so it's cool. Dynamesh, let's see Dynamesh if it's active. No, it's not. Now it's active. And with Dynamesh, maybe we should Dynamesh it on a lower level, but we'll see. So I'm not going fast with these horns. I'm just taking my time. I want them to look good. And we'll see if they will, but probably they will at some point. So with the move brush, which is 4 in our case, because, you know, we have put these short keys, it's much easier with the short keys, I promise you. Without them, it's a hell. You can work maybe 3 times faster with those short keys. Without them, living hell. It's amazing. It's just unworkable in ZBrush for me. Yeah, I'm so used to this. And yeah, I'm pressing 1. I'm standard. I'm pressing 2 clay tubes, 3 pinch, 4 move, and I just know my stuff. And if you will start working like this, you will very soon know your stuff too, and you will be very easily working with those things. And by those things, I mean the brushes. Let me see. So the horns, they have this kind of a thing here. Let's see. And I will do it. And then here and there. Yep, I'm just thinking out loud. Sometimes those kind of models, and I chose this model because it's kind of easy to make. So there's no rush. We'll make it very easy and fast. But it's not gonna be that fast because I'm trying to teach you something about something. So, yeah, you know already how to move geometry, how to rotate geometry, and how to Dynamesh, which is pretty important. So you know a lot of things already. but we will go through masks also, although we don't need masks right now exactly, but we will need them in the future. So next thing I want to do, maybe we will get back to the horns later, but for now they're looking nice. Probably when we have the body, we can just make the triangulations needed in our minds to do the horns again. This I will show you now how to rotate two objects or more at once, but not now. First, let's learn how to add geometry. So now I need to make the body. It will be easier for me, or the most easy thing, to add the body using append. So when we are on subtool, so tool menu, subtool, and then we go to append. Append subtool, press it, and then don't move your mouse anywhere else except in the menu, because if you go someplace else like here, the menu is gone. So pressing and going directly to the menu and staying inside will be your best bet for this menu to stay here, because if you go a little bit outside, it's gone. So append, go here, sphere 3D. Now we go to the sphere. We make sure that we have symmetry, because when you append, you don't have symmetry. You see, pressing X will activate symmetry, and then we'll have to move this sphere down and make it bigger. So W, go to the exact front without perspective, and we move the sphere down. So if you pivot, for example, it's like this. You cannot move it down very precisely, because you know it will go someplace else. So what do? We just press Alt and then press this button here. This button will reset orientation of the pivot. It will do it like this. It's pretty easy. And now we can do everything, and we just gonna expand this a lot and put it back like this. And now I'll make it even a little bit like this. So with those handles here, we can enlarge our model on those axes, which is pretty cool. Yes. So now we have symmetry, we have everything, and with the big move brush, we can start just doing this. Move brush in the beginning of every model is my best friend. Also Dynamesh. Dynamesh and move brush are my best friends. So we will see. Let's see. So the helm is from here to here, and then from the helm, from the chin down, we have one helm and something. So it's pretty close. And now we have three subtools. You see the horns, the head, and the body. Or this is not exactly the body, this is the blueprint of the body. Okay. And then we need to move this helm with the horns, not move it, but rotate it front, because if you see, it's looking up and it has to look a bit down and more of the forehead to be showing. So we go and press W. So our pivot is active. Then we press Alt and drag our pivot here, because we will rotate to this kind of axis. And then, very important, press this little tiny button here. And now we'll transpose all the subtools. Wow. Okay, but we don't want all. We want only the head and the horns. So what do? We press Ctrl Shift and drag this green rectangle to select only the head and the horns. And the body becomes unselected. And now we can move only the head and the horns. The other way to do it is to Ctrl Shift Alt, and then the rectangle is red. So we are excluding from selection the body. And then we just rotate, and we can see it from all angles. It's looking better now. Okay. And we again disable this, because we don't need it on all the time. Now that we have this, I will look at the model. So when we look at it, let's turn perspective on. We see that the head is like this, and then the back is starting almost in the level of the head. So we have to move our back a little bit, not a little bit, a lot, like this. And then the horns, obviously, had to be, but all the time when you're moving something with big increments, with the move brush, we go like this. Or we can, of course, rotate the horns this way. It's not a problem at all, you know. We can always do that. But sometimes we need to do a bit of a hand fixtures, and this is more like it. So now I think you understand how to move one subtool, how to move a couple of subtools at the same time, or at least you know the basis of this. We will do it again in the next videos, so don't be afraid if you don't get it right now. It will be explained again because this is, of course, a tutorial for absolute beginners, so I assume that you need to be explained everything. So here with the down standard brush, I'm just marking where the armor will be and how it will look. It's not final at all, it's just markings and trying to achieve the proportions that we have on our model. Yeah, it's nothing too much, but it's starting to look kind of good. Of course, we need more work in order to make it work. More work to make it work. Of course, it's absolutely normal. This I will increase here. And now you look at the geometry here. It's not very cool because this is a regular sphere. So what I will do is Dynamesh it. Of course, we go to Dynamesh and just, but don't press Dynamesh when you are on big resolution. It's not worth it. So let's go to, for example, 44 again. And Dynamesh will make it 48, I don't know why, and Dynamesh. And now it's pretty high resolution, it's higher than the head, on the same Dynamesh number. And here we came to this thing. The bigger the mesh is here, the higher poly count it will be with the same Dynamesh. So this is at least 5 or even more times smaller than the body. So the Dynamesh on 48 is making this big of a rectangles. Here it's making much smaller ones because at the same number. So yeah, that's how ZBrush is working. If we have something small, for example, let's do this. Let's get the horns, or let's get the head. Yeah, let's get the head, duplicate it, press W, move it up, make it smaller, and it's much smaller now. So if we Dynamesh now, Dynamesh is on 48 resolution, you will see what happens. The resolution is, you know, it's kind of the same resolution now. The squares are the same, but it's looking much less, much low poly, yeah, than this even. Okay, so you understand. Now, and I shown you how to duplicate subtools. You just press duplicate while you are on the subtool, and how to delete. You just go to the tool that you want to delete. You make sure that you are on that tool. Press solo to make sure, and then delete. And ZBrush will, are you sure? It will ask you. You say, okay, I'm sure. Yeah, why not? Well, yeah. So yeah, we have this, and now we can start pretty much making it. In the next video, probably we will learn about masks, how to make masks on the model like this. It's of course with control and just dragging, just yeah, it's nothing too complicated, but we have to learn it, and we'll get back to it in the next video. Thank you and bye.